What an amazing league we have a chance to cover here, Eric Crocker, and it is nonstop, massive trades sweeping the league, more trades coming, the 49ers losing more free agents than they're bringing in. We'll get to all of that. We'll get into the chat on today's offseason Q&A as we head into the weekend, and maybe some notes on how the things that are going on in the NFL right now affect a Jimmy Garoppolo trade, all that and more. Coming up right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you once again at BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker on Twitter. Thanks for making us your first listen every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's how we do it. And you know how we can do it every day, Croc? It's because things like today happen in the offseason. I've always said it, man. The offseason's better than the regular season in the NFL. We've got the Watson madness that is coming full circle now. Baker Mayfield and the Browns, how that stuff impacts the 49ers and a potential Jimmy Garoppolo trade that is hanging in the balance right now. And we've got to start with the biggest news around the NFL that just happened before we went live here, which is Davante Adams. And it's your guy, right? Your favorite wide receiver in the NFL.
He's my favorite wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah.
Green and gold, my North Dakota State QBU, the color scheme of Davante Adams' old team on his way from the Packers to the Las Vegas Raiders, reunites with his Fresno State teammate Derek Carr there in the AFC West. Another massive swing in the AFC West. These teams are just having an arms race over there. And the Raiders already added Chandler Jones, maybe paying him a little bit more than the 49ers could afford to bring him over to Las Vegas, because it was rumored that the 49ers were in on Chandler Jones. A first-round pick and a second-round pick this year going to Green Bay. So the Packers have 2 first-round picks now in the 2022 draft. And, oh, by the way, Croc, this does pertain to the San Francisco 49ers, because which division is on the schedule for the Niners in 2022? Yeah.
AFC West, and it's going to be a gauntlet.
Not going to get away from Russell Wilson ever, maybe.
Right. Never, ever. He's the boogeyman. Like, the boogeyman don't go away. And clearly, Russell Wilson has no intentions of leaving the 49ers alone. But I guess on the bright side, you don't have to see him twice. And on the bright side, at the very least, you see Davante Adams again, but he's not with Green Bay. And I know, I mean, they could sign somebody, they can do it, but, another receiver is not going to have the same rapport with Aaron Rodgers. And I think one of the things, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, terrific quarterback, but that rapport he has with Davante Adams, like, that was special. Like, it is like nothing I've ever seen before, at least, now. I mean, I was real young, middle school when, Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, like, not even Joe Montana, I was probably 5 years old, but Jerry Rice, Steve Young, I was really young then. So I didn't really get to see that rapport. This is like the best that I've seen between this, maybe Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That type, but it's special. It's special, and I'm glad it got broken up.
It's pretty rare what they have. And again, it just makes things easier for the 49ers path in the NFC. And now with the Watson stuff down to 2 teams, it is being firmly reported now. It's either he's going home to the Falcons, grew up in Georgia, or he's going to the New Orleans Saints. It's down to those 2 teams. The Browns are out. The Panthers are out. Both of those 2 teams might potentially need quarterbacks. I don't know what the Panthers are going to do with they've got...
They got no. If you have all these quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. So they have no quarterback.
And you got Darnold. You're going to pay Darnold plus Jimmy Garoppolo's $25 million because you can't get out.
No way.
Contract. So you got $40 million of quarterback there. You got the 6th pick in the draft. I think they might have to just use that hammer and draft the quarterback maybe earlier than they wanted to in the draft, because there's no other way that the Panthers can go here unless they want to try to jump into this Matt Ryan thing. But the Falcons aren't trading Matt Ryan to the NFC South, right? So if the Falcons end up with Watson, Matt Ryan maybe to Indy, so there's one person out for another player out for the Jimmy Garoppolo trade sweepstakes, if it is even a sweepstakes at this point. So maybe the Saints, Maybe the Browns, if Baker Mayfield gets moved somewhere. I like Baker Mayfield to Seattle myself. I think that makes some sense.
I thought they said no on the trade. Like he was like, hey, I want to get traded. And they're like, no, you ain't getting traded.
Right. I mean, you could see both of those coming. He said goodbye yesterday. So you could see Baker Mayfield saying, well, I don't care if you got Watson or not. You wanted somebody else. I'm gone. I already said
I ain't nobody's plan
I
B.
could see that coming. Right. And then
real quick, someone in the chat says another tape show. No, we are live right now. This is not
this isn't a premiere. This is absolutely live. We see you there. And yeah, we like to do the premieres, and you can kind of chat along with the show as it's premiering, but it's not live. But we do go live at least once a week. So this is our live program here Thursday night. That's funny. That happens a lot. We do that premiering thing on YouTube, and some people think it's live, and then they're realizing, wait, this is recorded, but it's just kind of happening live. We can still chat. That's the way we like to do it as a network, get those podcasts out for you in the evening. But no, we are live here. We are going to get deep into the chat a little bit later on, and we'll probably take it into overtime, depending on how much time Croc has. He's got a storm brewing over there in Arkansas. It's like early summer over here in California right now. I love how
it's summer here. It just storms kind of year round.
That's the way it works, right?
Yeah, tornado season coming up or something.
Oh, where do we even go with all this?
Real quick, you talked about Baker Mayfield and him wanting out of Cleveland. What ramifications can that have, or effects can that have on a potential Jimmy Garoppolo trade to Cleveland?
Thank you. And you said Cleveland said no, but of course Cleveland's going to say no. Like it was, I think it was the most obvious thing ever that Baker Mayfield was going to request to be traded. And then, of course, if you want the max value for your player, you want to say, oh, no, we're going to keep him, make teams calling you, not you going around calling teams. So you can get a third or a second round pick for him instead of a fifth round or a sixth round pick for him if everybody knows you have to trade him or trying to trade him. So I don't really look much into the Browns saying, no, we're not going to trade him, because at some point you need a quarterback. And if Baker Mayfield's dug in, and he seems like the type that could be, that's just not going to end well for you. And he's going to be less valuable later than he is right now. So I think you could potentially trade. And look, there was an awesome tweet that I just saw from DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. And he said, let's chill on the Drew Lock slander. People are coming at Drew Lock. Like, of course you don't want Drew Lock to be your franchise quarterback, right? So go get an angry, pissed off Baker Mayfield to be your quarterback. And
I kind of like angry, pissed off Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. That's the only one you want, chucking it up to DK Metcalf. I think that could actually work for, and sort of like a college vibe. And Pete Carroll's always wanted to have that sort of a loose college vibe with his team and his quarterbacks and chomping on gum. And he could probably let Baker Mayfield hand the ball off a bunch and play action and chuck it up deep to DK Metcalf. I kind of like it. It's definitely the best option that the Seattle Seahawks have right now. And then that would open the door.
Hold on. You like it for Seattle, not for the 49ers.
Not for the 49ers. I love Drew Lock for the 49ers. I absolutely love the way
slander
going. And I hear them saying all kinds of glowing, oh, we love Drew Lock in the draft. It's like, have fun, Seattle. It's great for you. Although I kind of do like Baker Mayfield to the Seahawks for the 49ers, because that would open up the Browns, because that would be the most obvious fit. Scheme fit, knows the offense, the Kubiak, Shanahan tree offense there with Stefanski. Good run game. It's good for Jimmy G. Helps the Niners and John Lynch save face, get a pick back from the Browns. So I guess it is good for both Seattle and the 49ers. And Baker Mayfield's not so good that he would scare you if he was the Seattle Seahawks quarterback. They're going to be taking a step back from Russell Wilson anyway. So I don't think I'd worry about that. So I think that's probably, if you're looking at this, and I just did a hit on KMBR with Dieter Kurtenbach, and we talked about this. And if you read the tea leaves and everything goes the way it looks like it might, and if Watson does go back to Atlanta's going to be awful. They've got no players as it is. They might have to give up Kyle Pitts in this deal in the first place. And if they don't, they're not going to have any first round picks to get better. So they're going to be a bad team.
You think they'd have to give up Kyle Pitts?
Well, that's what I would ask for. I mean, if not, it's going to be a bunch of draft picks and other players. They're going to be terrible. It'll be Watson, Pitts, and nothing else. They're going to be bad, and no first round picks to get better. So
no way.
Just like he grew up there, I get it, but that's the worst landing spot for Watson to have a good team around him for a while, probably. But maybe he wants to go back to Atlanta. I don't know. The Saints make more sense there. But if it does happen that way, then I think it would be a natural fit for the Colts to be able to go get Matt Ryan, and probably just by picking up his salary, and maybe the Falcons might have to pay more just to get rid of his salary, and they're going to take a big old huge cap hit too. So then there's nowhere else. Maybe Jimmy to New Orleans in that case, because it won't be Indy, it won't be obviously Atlanta. So Yeah, it's there's still going to be a team out there that might need something, but worst case scenario is you can't trade him to Seattle, and Jimmy Garoppolo can't go anywhere because the Saints go with Winston. Matt Ryan ends up with Indianapolis. Watson goes to the Falcons, and Baker Mayfield stays in Cleveland. That's the worst case scenario for the 49ers.
Oh, man. And it can definitely happen. Like, that is very realistic.
And then you have to try to see if the Panthers will do something. How about this? Let me actually let's pause here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question about Crockett. I'll let you think about it for a minute here. If you had to take Sam Darnold back in a Garoppolo trade to the Panthers, what would then be your asking price for Jimmy Garoppolo in that sort of a deal? And is that potentially a way to cut some salary, but not all? Because Darnold makes less than Garoppolo. Maybe you get a better pick that way. Save some face a little bit. Maybe rehab Darnold's image somehow. Maybe just, I don't know, cut him or whatever. But his contract's guaranteed. I don't know. Maybe get a team to take part of his contract or something like that in another deal and cut a little bit more off of that salary. I don't know. You think about that. What would be that ask for you to take Darnold back if you're the 49ers? If the Panthers is the last team that's willing to trade something for Jimmy Garoppolo and Jimmy Garoppolo is willing to go there. But at that point, Jimmy wants to start because this is bad for Jimmy too if there's no starting positions for him. While you think about that, I'm going to let the folks out there know about BetOnline. And oh yeah, it's all kinds of fun. The tournament is off and going on this St. Patty's Day evening. I love this Thursday and Friday of college basketball during the tournament. And it is that time of year. College basketball tournament is fully upon us, and all of the odds, contests, players, props, you can find at betonline.net, the number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. BetOnline remains the best spot for not only sports wagering, but scores and news as well this season. And it's not just football. You've got some free agency props still out there. You've got Super Bowl futures. You've got draft props, college and pro basketball. BetOnline is also your continued source for hockey and baseball and boxing and UFC and including live betting. Go get into that second half game action if you didn't get in on the first half, or your favorite Vegas casino games as well. So head over to the website or use your mobile device today and get to BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day. Make sure you're following Locked On NFL, Locked On experts covering the biggest stories year-round, Monday through Friday, just like we are here, free and available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Okay, Croc, did you think about it a little bit? Everybody else has a quarterback. There's nothing else to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's either cut him or trade him to the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers say, you have to take Sam Darnold back in a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. What pick do we have to give you to make that happen? Croc, what is your answer, or do you just say no?
I want to say it first, but I mean, that's a top 10 pick, so they're not giving that up.
Yeah,
so I need like
a 6 overall. How about Okay, how about this? How about they say, okay, next year's first round pick?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, here's the thing: $7 million less dollars. I mean, an $18 million backup. I don't know. I look. My biggest thing.
One more thing to consider here, Croc, in this is that Jimmy Garoppolo, if he's cut, he has that injury, the injury waiver that costs the Niners $7 million.
Right.
So the difference between cutting him and bringing on Sam Darnold's $18 million is now only
$11 million.
$11 million, right? So
No,
you would only be adding $11 million in the 18 minus 7 in taking on Darnold's contract and just cutting Jimmy Garoppolo, and obviously saving a lot of face. So you're basically paying $11 million for a first round pick.
I would do it. I would do that.
$11 million and a veteran backup. There's your veteran backup for Trey Lance for around $11 million.
I would do it. But yeah, I mean, okay, save a little bit of money and you get a first round pick. Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, and who knows? I wonder if they might have to get a little bit creative in this Jimmy Garoppolo. I
just want the money though.
On how things go.
I want, like, to me, and again, we talked about it. We had the guy on, the capologist guy. What was his name again? That we had over in the summer.
Brad Spielberger.
Yeah, so we had Brad, and once he said to me, you remember my reaction. Once he said that, and this was like heading into week 1, so it was like right when training preseason was ending. And when he said that you could cut Jimmy Garoppolo at that moment and roll over his money to this year, and then when you add that to this off, like not having Jimmy, like we're talking about freeing up $50 million worth of space. I said, oh my gosh, you got to cut Jimmy Garoppolo right now. You got to cut him and take your lumps with your rookie and use that $50 million that you're going to have to build like all these players that you see and you're like, a little priced out, a little bit too much. Ain't nobody out of your price range when you got $50-something million in cap space. And that's before you even have to restructure anyone. Like, how do you not do that? How do you not? I get it. They had to win. I get it. But that they kind of, I don't know. And you can't complain too much. 49ers went to an NFC championship game with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I can't complain. But golly, I mean, that's a lot of money to be able to build and load up around a guy who would then be heading into his second full season. As opposed to, I've only played 2 games and now got this weird dynamic with Jimmy Garoppolo, limited money to, where we can spend money, but we don't want to go all in. You see what I'm saying? They kind of dropped the ball with that. You could have had, instead of, and again, Ward, awesome. But give me J.C. Jackson if I'm going to spend, $2 million more on the corner. Right? Give me J.C. Jackson. Give me Chandler Jones. Now, all right, Chandler, like, what do you want? Okay, the Raiders pay you this. I'll pay you $1 million more. Okay, he's coming to the Bay Area. All right, Tyrann Mathieu. Okay, because we're losing Jaquiski Tartt. Come on, Tyrann Mathieu. And you know what, Laken Tomlinson? Just stay here. I mean, and it's easy. And you don't even got to think about it. And again, your quarterback had this whole year of experience. Your rookie guy heading into the next year.
Yeah, and difference makers. And I wonder if the 49ers missed out on a difference maker, if they would have gone one of those routes, if they had gotten rid of Jimmy Garoppolo before. And if John Lynch did have that offer of a second-round pick and didn't take it, it's becoming pretty clear that was a bad move on his part and a mistake, if that was true. And we don't know if that was actually the case or not. Good point here that Mayoko said that the 49ers, there would be an offset there with Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, that injury waiver. So the 49ers would not have to pay the $7.5 million if another team signs him for at least that. So the Niners would be on the hook if he signed, like, say, a deal for the minimum somewhere, but Jimmy's going to get at least $7.5 million, right? So I guess that whole thing doesn't really matter.
What would he get? If the 49ers were to cut him today, what would he get?
More than Trubisky, more than I'm kind of waiting to see what Winston and Mariota get, because I think he would get more than those guys too. And they should, at least Winston probably will get from the Saints more than Trubisky got from the Steelers. I think that was 2 years, 14, but there's a lot of incentives in there. So if he actually is the starter, I think it becomes more for Trubisky there with the Steelers. So he would get definitely double digits. He wouldn't get 25 probably, but maybe he would get something similar to what he's already making. I mean, the quarterback money's crazy. See what Davante Adams is getting? They had to give up a first and a second, and they're paying him $28.5 million. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Starting quarterbacks right now are going to start making crazy money, which is another reason the Cleveland Browns should trade Baker Mayfield, because they don't want him to come back, have a good year, then give him $40 million that he's not worth, right? Because that's
right.
If you're a good starting quarterback, you ask for $40 million. That is where we're at right now in the NFL in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, I think with Jimmy, I'd assume if they were to cut him today, which they're not going to, clearly. They have no intentions on it, or they would have been cut him. But I'd say get like $15 million with escalators in there to where it could reach $25, $26 million, depending on, did he make the Pro Bowl? Did he make an All-Pro? Did he play, at least 14 out of the 17 regular season games? Did they make the playoffs? And, then he'd start to make more money.
I think Garoppolo would make something more like $15 to $18 million if he re-signed, but it'd be maybe a 2-year deal. And that's probably what it would end up being if he gets traded. A team's going to want to restructure, knock a few dollars off his salary for 2022, and then add a second year. And he ends up, instead of having 1 year, $25 million or whatever it is, $27 million. Yeah, $25.5 million. Then he would end up with a 2-year, $36 million contract, or 2 years, $39 million. Something like that is what I would imagine Garoppolo's contract to get restructured to.
Listen to this. I'm seeing this just now.
Okay.
Kelly Witherspoon signs a 2-year, $8 million contract with the Steelers. All right. Now, Doug Farrer, he said that got an A+ in our free agency grade list. No cornerback allowed a lower opponent passer rating in the second half of 2021 than Ahkello Witherspoon. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm muted. Is that an Ahkello Witherspoon stat or is that a TJ Watt stat? Is my question.
Both.
It's hard. That's
he was good.
I mean,
every game I watched, like he was
better.
good.
Yeah.
He was good.
I mean, with Witherspoon, it was never about the physical talent. I mean, to be that long and fast and have really good feet, it's a rare ability. It just took him a while to, I think, grow into being a pro and having that mentality. And who knows if that mentality kind of comes in and out and in and out. And we saw that with the 49ers. Play good for a stretch, play bad for a stretch. And we just saw a good stretch with the Steelers. And they re-signed him. So you start out with another bad stretch next year. Who knows? And so it's really hard to bank on those small samples of statistics like that.
I think Kyle hated him. Kyle Shanahan.
I'm sure Kyle.
He was not his type of player.
Dante Pettis too.
Yeah, not his type. Now Pettis hasn't worked out anywhere else.
No, he hasn't. We got to talk wide receivers next, Croc, because the 49ers don't have very many, and one of the few they did have is signed a free agent contract with, guess who? The Miami Dolphins, just like Raheem Mostert, just like who else signed with the Dolphins? Somebody else signed with the Dolphins, right? From the 49ers? I don't know. But
Mostert, Trent Taylor,
Trent Sherfield.
Trent Sherfield.
Sherfield, Mostert, and one more? No? Compton? Where'd Compton go? Compton went to the Broncos with DJ Jones. Okay, DJ Jones went to the Broncos. Tom Compton went to the Broncos. Sherfield and Raheem Mostert going to Mike McDaniel's Miami Dolphins. The 49ers losing more free agents than they're bringing in right now. Let's get to that and talk about a couple of position groups that are clearly a need for your San Francisco 49ers on the offensive line and at wide receiver next. You know what always is coming in more than it's going out in my household is Built Bars. I've always got more and more Built Bars coming because they are so delicious and they are plug and play, just like a second round guard should be. They are so delicious, high in protein, low in calorie, low in sugar, low in net carbs, but they taste delicious. They've got some magic. I don't know how they make these flavors taste good and keep that sugar and calories low, like the Built Bar Puffs, the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. Ask Croc. Croc, tell him about the key lime pie.
My favorite one, that or banana cream pie. You can't go wrong with the Puffs. And I'm someone, I love to snack. That's probably where all my excess fat has come from, especially since the pandemic. But a lot of it has to do with these, or what's helping me is the Built Bar Puffs. They're kind of kicking that craving that I have for all these other snacks around the house. You know, I love toaster strudels, stuff like that. I got rid of the toaster strudels, replaced it with a Built Bar. Where my toaster strudels would be in the freezer, now there's a Built Bar Puff there.
Yeah, see, that's what you do. You get rid of all the bad for you snacks, replace those secret hiding spots with Built Bars. And Croc's lost 10 pounds in the last 2 weeks. And a lot of that is because Built Bar is part of his plan. So go to built.com right now, get whatever flavor you like, one of the classics or the puffs or a mixed box of Built Bars, but use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off of that order. Again, that is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Laken Tomlinson on the way out for the 49ers. Tom Compton on the way out for the 49ers. Trent Sherfield on the way out for the 49ers. Raheem Mostert on the way out for the 49ers. DJ Jones is gone. They did bring back one defensive tackle in Hassan Ridgeway. Not a one-for-one replacement. We talked about that a little bit. We'll get a little bit deeper into the scouting report on Ridgeway a little bit later on another podcast. We don't have time to do that tonight. There's too much madness going on here. But offensive line and wide receiver is a big problem right now, I think, for the 49ers in a clear need. And I don't know if it's even at this point with the dwindling amount of free agents out there. I don't know if it's a free agency need. I don't know if it's a draft need, but it's clearly a need. The 49ers only have 3 wide receivers under contract. So they got to bring in at least 3 just to have a roster. And they got to bring in a handful more to be able to run routes in training camp. So they're going to bring in street free agents in the draft. They're going to be drafting wide receivers at some point. I don't know if it's early or late. And they're reportedly in on a lot of the wide receivers on the market. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is one. And how about another name that's been added to the list who's been released by the Titans? Julio Jones. What do you think, Croc? Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, MVS? Any of these names making sense to you on the free agent market for the 49ers at wide receiver? I mean, Kyle's interested in Julio. The injury history doesn't match up. I think that was one of the big things with Charvarius Ward is he's been relatively injury-free, and we saw that in the draft. They were drafting more players because there's been so many injuries piling up on the 49ers roster. Do you go out and get a guy, reunite Kyle Shanahan with a player we know he openly loves in Julio Jones? Might be a 1-year short deal that doesn't cost all that much, and for the games he's healthy, he's going to give you wide receiver one type of production. Could be that guy next to Deebo Samuel, right?
He's still averaging 14 yards per reception. That's what he did last year. The year before that, he also missed 7 games. Missed 7 games each of their last 2 seasons. Not ideal. But averaged 15 yards per catch in 2020, averaged 14 yards per catch in 2021. So the ability is still there. Obviously, maybe not quite the explosive Julio Jones that we've known. Maybe it's the injuries that slowed him down. But if I had to go with one of the guys, you mentioned a few guys, I'd probably lean towards Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Now, I am seeing the Twitter go up right now. 49ers signed Ray-Ray McCloud from Pittsburgh. I asked my brother Donald about him, though. He's a big Pittsburgh fan, and he was like,
No, I mean, that's depth. They just need bodies. So that, he's going to come in, he's going to compete. If anything, at most, he's probably replacing Trent Sherfield as wide receiver 4, and that's if he earns that. So they've
39 passes. That's not nothing. He caught 39 passes, and he's a return guy.
That's not nothing. What about another guy from Pittsburgh? What's funny is everybody in the chat hates Julio. Nobody wants to bring in Julio. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I know Tom Brady's, I think.
Remember, he played against the 49ers, and I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, didn't make a big impact. You're right. He's not the same guy. And if he only plays a few games, probably not worth going down that road. What about Juju Smith-Schuster, though?
Nah. Because, okay, if 49ers are going to go after the receiver, like, give me something different. You got Debo, you got Juwan Jennings, you got, Brandon Ayuk, and they're all kind of not the same exact guy, but they aren't quite like different. And I know Juwan Jennings in stature is different, but he's still kind of not like super separator, explosive downfield guy. He's like, he's a little bit more like Juju, but kind of like a poor man's version of Juju. So no, give me something different. That's why I go towards Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because he gives me something that I just don't have on the roster. Like, that is a different type of receiver than what the 49ers have.
Seen a lot of names getting thrown out there. Cole Beasley? No.
Pure slot. I mean, I like it, but Odell, I see Odell Beckham. I'd say no, because it's not saying Ayuk is Odell, but, you got Ayuk.
A late torn ACL in February. He's not going to be ready to start the season. So that part Odell's tough because he's not going to be ready to go early for you. Nick says, just say it, Crocky. Draft Christian Watson. He's not going to be there at 61.
If you're not going to draft him, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, to me, kind of brings a similar type of ability. Similar. He was a 4-3 guy. He got the height, got the length, has the ability to win vertically. 49ers have seen it. He's got bombs on the 49ers multiple times now. Multiple touchdowns on the 49ers over the last couple years. So, yeah, he's a guy. And he doesn't have to be wide receiver 2. I think that was a lot of the issue with Green Bay. It's like, you got to be there. I mean, so much pressure to be not just as good as Davante Adams, but like, you got to be, and it's like, okay, he's not that. But can you play off of Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk? I'm pretty sure you could do that.
Yeah. It's clear where you're going with it. And my head's in the same place. It's been there for a while for the 49ers. Now you got this big, young, strong-armed quarterback. Get him some speed on the outside, little rangy guy. Marquez Valdez-Scantling definitely hits that. I think Will Fuller is a name you've mentioned before, Croc. I think those types of names do make some sense for the 49ers in free agency. But the draft is stacked too. If not Christian Watson, any names you want to throw out there right now in the draft real quick before we talk a little offensive line? 61, someone who's going to be there at 61, maybe even someone who'll be there at 93 in the 3rd round.
Well, the 49ers went and got McCloud, but if it weren't for him, I would love like a Calvin Austin. I know he's small, 5'8", about 175, ran 4.32. But man, you can line him up inside, outside. I mean, he's like a pure speed burner. He's a return guy. I mean, dangerous speed. When I was watching him at the Senior Bowl, they didn't even, they were trying to figure, okay, how do I guard him? Do I play off? Nope, ran right by you. Okay, do I press? Nope, turns you around the line of scrimmage. Okay, like how do I, go route over your head. Okay, now I ran a 10-yard stop, wide open. I mean, he was whooping guys every which way. They couldn't even get a finger on him at the line of scrimmage. So if you are going to go receiver, and there's no Christian Watson, that guy moves the needle for me in the sense of, again, a guy that the 49ers just don't have. They don't have that guy.
Yeah, a return man, someone with speed that can actually give you a little something on offense and give you a different look than what you already have on the roster. Even better if you'd be there at 93. I don't think he would make it there. George Pickens, BSE, throws out George Pickens as a name, which I love. It reminds me a little bit of T. Higgins coming out, where I think he's going to go later than he should, and I think he'll be there in the second round. I don't know if he's going to be there in the late second round, though. That's the problem. I don't know if he's going to get all the way to 61, but I would love some George Pickens on the 49ers. That one would make some sense as well for me. They might need to go in a different direction, though, at 61, like offensive line. Croc, this is getting to an interesting stage on the offensive line for the 49ers now. They lost Laken Tomlinson in free agency, a guy I thought they would bring back just because of the injury to Mike McGlinchey, is Tom Compton. He's on his way out of town. He's going to Denver. So the 49ers, if they lined up today, and who knows if Mike McGlinchey's healthy, you might have to put the fifth rounder from last year, Jalen Moore, at right tackle, the rookie second rounder from last year, replacing Laken Tomlinson at left guard in Aaron Banks. So you got Williams, Banks, a 37-year-old center, and Brunskill back again. He's on the tender, the restricted free agent tender at right guard. And then you got Colton McKivitz as a backup, or maybe Colton McKivitz is playing one of the guard spots or right tackle spots, and you got a sixth man that's iffy. Like, you got to do something on the offensive line, whether it's in free agency, which is starting to dry up on the interior offensive line, or in the draft. Maybe that's something they have to do at 61. And you need a future starting center, because I know Alex Mack is looking like he's coming back, and that's the plan this year, but it takes offensive linemen a while to develop too. If you want a starting offensive lineman next year, it's going to be hard to draft that guy next year. You might have to draft that guy now as a sort of a versatile guard center type of a player on day 2 this year.
Yeah, I would think that you would want to go the route free agency on the offensive line. You drafted a couple last year, drafted one, Colt McKivitz the year before that. Like, you've been drafting guys. Now it's just, about them kind of developing. Bringing a free agent, is going to be someone kind of like on, Brunskill or, Compton, that type of guy that, hey, if you got to play him, you got to play him. But hopefully your young guys develop into a guy where you're comfortable with him having to start.
The offensive tackle market hasn't really taken off yet. Morgan Moses and Orlando Brown are really the only top offensive linemen that have been off of the board. Los Angeles brought back Joe Noteboom after what's his name retired at left tackle there, and Cam Robinson got franchised by the Jaguars. And you've got Dwayne Brown, Teron Armstead. Niners probably going to go to the top of the market there and spend a bunch of money at offensive tackle. Trent Brown, bring back Trent Brown. Kyle Shanahan shipped him out because he didn't like his style, so I don't think that's a fit. Eric Fisher, Riley Reif, Jermaine Ifedi, Bobby Massey, Jason Peters. It's got some age on him. And you look at the interior offensive linemen, Matt Paradis, Bradley Bozeman, maybe at center. Guard, a lot of the guards have already signed, and even the bargain guards have already signed as well. James Daniels and Connor Williams from the Cowboys. They didn't make up all that much money, and they signed too. So it feels like the 49ers are going to go with the youngsters on the offensive line. It's what it feels like right now. We'll see. But that's what things, there's probably going to be somebody late in free agency at a very bargain rate brought in just for competition, just to make sure you're covered at some of these positions. But I don't know. Right now, offensive line worries me because the 49ers needed to even get better than where they were last year on the offensive line. That showed up bad for them in the playoffs. The 49ers didn't win on the offensive line in the playoffs. Couldn't run the ball. Pass rush was getting to them. It's a big reason why they ended up losing to the Rams. They need to be better on the offensive line, and right now they're worse. So that's a huge need for me. And wide receiver, they need to do something as well, although at least they have their starters in place if they don't do much and just add depth.
I mean, everything gets tighter in the playoffs, though. So, if your quarterback kind of getting hit a few times in the playoffs, like, those things are just gonna happen. Like at the end of the day, you're gonna have to figure out a way to make plays or don't miss throws when you guys have a guy like George Kittle running wide open up the seam early in the game on the first drive of the game in the NFC Championship game. Don't miss that throw.
Yeah, the margin for error becomes razor thin there in the playoffs. We've got to roll on the audio only portion of this podcast, Croc, but we're going to stick around. Everybody who's hanging out live, we're going to get into the chat, have a little fun here, go into overtime on the last podcast of the week, and we're definitely going to hit a live episode if Jimmy Garoppolo does get traded. So that happens at all this weekend before we reconvene here to record our Monday morning podcast. We will definitely have that covered for you as well. But for now, Jimmy Garoppolo still a 49er, a lot of work to do. And I think there is some more to come in free agency, maybe even a splash, an unexpected splash still to come for the 49ers. All right, let's get into the chat a little bit here. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on Locked On 49ers. For your second listen, check out Croc doing the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm doing the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show daily, covering the entire league. Croc and I back Monday right here, Locked On 49ers. All right, guys, let's have some fun. Thanks everybody for jumping into the live chat. By the way, it's always so much fun, and I have a lot of fun doing these live shows. At some point, I feel like we should just be doing live shows every day, Croc, because it's a blast, right? I love it. I love the crazies that we get in the chat too. It just makes it adds a little extra spark to the pod as we're going live.
Yeah, I think it's the time that we record. I mean, if everybody's down for us going live at 4 p.m. Pacific time, then yeah, we can go live, man.
It's a little early. It's better to go a little bit later after dinner when we're doing the live pod for sure, like we're doing it tonight.
But you know what, man, 49er fans, I think they just love content. So, we have a good following, a good, listenership. I think if we go live at 4 Pacific, they'll be in there.
Yeah, they'll be in there. And if not, they'll know that it's going to be there for them. It's that fresh new pod is always going to be fresh baked and waiting for you wherever you jump on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah.
Whoo, my goodness. Hey, let me ask you this, Croc. Do you think the Packers or the Raiders won the Davante Adams trade? Because I think there's going to be argument made that the Packers came out best in the long term. And do you also think, part B of that, did Adams help Rodgers more or did Rodgers help Adams more?
I think when you have a quarterback, and I'm in my head, I'm just thinking about some of the throws that he made, where it's just like Adams, just put your hands out and it's gonna fall right into your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Aaron Rodgers definitely helped a lot, but I think it goes hand in hand. You got to have the ability that Adams has to be able to take advantage of it, and he did. Most of the other guys on the Packers couldn't.
By the way, Alan Lazard, wide receiver 1 right now on the Packers. So I think they're going to be interested in some of the.
Did they bring him back
right now? Yeah, let's see where Alan Lazard was. I'm pretty sure I saw that he signed. Was he still a restricted? I think it might have been a restricted free agent situation for him.
Well, he was a guy that was like undrafted, and I liked him coming out of Iowa State.
Oh, dude, yeah, he had a raw deal. I thought he might be converted to tight end coming out, but I liked him. He was a good player. He should have definitely been drafted. And it also helps.
Looks different now, doesn't he? Does he look different in the NFL? Like, does he feel like look a little slimmer and moves a little better?
Yeah. He had to sort of choose one. It's either get slimmer and faster or become a tight end. And he chose wide receiver and get slimmer and faster and end up working out for him. Yeah. Alan Lazard's your wide receiver 1, and the death rattle of Randall Cobb is your wide receiver 2. They drafted Amari Rodgers last year, sort of, a very similar player to Randall Cobb. They got to do something. But hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers finally gets that shiny first-round wide receiver that he's been wanting for a while for the Packers to draft. They got 2 first-round picks. They got to take a wide receiver, right? Is a wide receiver going to show up in your next mock to the Packers in the first round at 22 or 28? It's got to, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been mocking receivers to the Packers. Okay. Now it's just which one? Right. There's going to be a big run on receivers in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if 6 guys go. So it's just who ends up falling to the Packers at 22. They pick at 22 and 28 now, I believe.
Yes, 22 and 28 is where the Packers now draft in the first round. So it's going to be a good wide receiver for them at one of those spots.
I would, if I'm them, and I know, and we'll see if he's ready. I think he should be ready. But Jameson Williams, I think if it weren't for the injury, he would be the first receiver taken. And because of the injury, there might be a little slide going on there for him. If he's there at 22, take him. Now, let's say you're like, all right, he's still on the board at 22, but maybe want to go with another position, maybe an edge rusher or tackle falls or something like that. And you want to go that route, cross your fingers for him being there at 28. Then you 100% can't pass on him by then.
Yeah. Somebody said here, where was it? Here we go. Yeah, Chris Olave. I kind of like that. Different look than what they have. Add some speed. Whoever it is has got to have some speed, right? Especially if they're going to lose Valdez-Scantling in free agency. And they already have Lazard and Cobb and, underneath sort of guys, chain moving guys. They need some speed. Olave could look real nice with Rodgers dropping some of those deep dimes into him with that 4.2 speed, or actually turned out to be 4.3 speed. No, you don't like it?
Olave smooth. Yeah, he's smooth. Has like legit. He can win vertically downfield. He kind of took a step back with the young quarterback CJ Stroud, but when he was there with Justin Fields, it was bombs away. I know everybody saw the national championship game. He was just giving, but he was running off on Darion Kendrick, the cornerback out of. He played for Georgia this past year, but he was in Clemson that year. And I'm like, man, he just ran right by him. He's off. But then Kendrick goes out there and runs a 4.78 at the pro day yesterday. Yeah, I'm like, maybe he was just hella slow.
Yeah, that dude was just slow. Yeah, and Olave is actually fast. I've seen this a few times on Twitter today that maybe the Packers should trade for Brandon Cooks, who's available in the trade market. Makes some sense. I like that for Rodgers. You know what's funny, though? If they get Cooks, you got Amari Rodgers, who's 5'8", 5'9". Randall Cobb's like 5'8". It would look like Alan Lazard and like his kids when they showed up, the wide receivers, because they're all tiny. You need a little bit of outside length there for Aaron Rodgers. He'll make do with whatever he's got. But the Packers are worse, man. Rodgers comes back, they're paying him $50 million, and the Packers are going to be worse. Like, the path for the 49ers got so much easier this year on almost every single level.
I'm seeing a lot of excitement on social media in the chat about Ray-Ray McCloud. So do you think that he can be like a legitimate wide receiver 4?
I got to watch more Ray-Ray McCloud. This is one of those signings. We see these every year where a team signs a guy and he barely even makes the roster. Sometimes they don't make the roster. I don't know what the money is. The money will tell you how the 49ers feel about Ray-Ray McCloud, if he's got a shot to make the roster or not. The fact that it came, hours after Trent Sherfield signed with the Miami Dolphins makes me think, he's clearly wide receiver 4 at best. And so he's going to have to compete to make a roster spot, I think. I haven't seen enough, and I'll go back and watch some more of Ray-Ray McCloud. 5'9", 190, has some speed, but I haven't seen enough of him to just be like, oh yeah, he's the guy. If anything, they're bringing him in to be, maybe a return man and cross your fingers, play some special teams like Trent Sherfield was for them, a special teams guy. They cross your fingers for what he gives you on offense.
Right. But Ray-Ray's like, dude, don't give me the Trent Sherfield what they did with him.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, Trent Sherfield had 9 he had 9 catches on the season. Ray-Ray McCloud's like, dude, I just have 40 catches.
He was the starter in the week 1, right?
Yeah, McCloud's like, dude, I just have 40 catches. Like, don't make me go from 40 catches to whatever y'all did with Trent Sherfield. I don't want that treatment.
Well, I'll tell you why McCloud signed. I'm looking at the numbers now. 2-year deal worth up to $10.4 million. So he probably
he'll be there.
He wasn't getting $5 million per from anybody else, but up to. So up to means he's probably got to earn something there. So we'll see what the base salary actually is. If it's $1 million, if he gets cut out of camp.
But even if it's 3 per year, even if it's like his base is 3 per year, like, you're here.
That's more than what Sherfield was making last year, for sure.
Yeah. You will be a 49er.
Yeah, but special teams first and wide receiver 4. That's probably the plan for Ray-Ray McCloud.
At least this year.
Yeah.
Now, after this year, I'm going to know. But this year, he will be a 49er.
And that's only 4. That's 4 wide receivers the 49ers have under contract. So they're going to add some more. They're going to add some more players and some more competition.
No, Keyshawn Johnson. There are a few other guys.
Yeah, but he's on a non-guaranteed like futures contract, right?
Yeah,
so
futures contract.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Hey, futures matter.
Did you you never had a futures contract, right?
Nah, I had a legit contract.
Yeah.
Legit.
It just didn't last into the future.
It was 3 years, 1.5 million.
Oh, dang. Because you were a legit free agent because you were out of college long enough and you had already gone pro with
Yeah.
so you were like a really
No, but I
very
only
decent free agent.
I only played 1 year in the Arena League.
Only 1 year. Okay,
Before,
you were only 1 year removed. Okay.
yeah, before going to the NFL.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because I never thought I would make it to the NFL. So and then just the way I got there, it wasn't something I was expecting.
Yeah.
So once the NFL attention started popping up out of nowhere, yeah, I had an opportunity with the Saints. I kind of chose the Jets over the Saints.
Oh man, what could have been?
I know, and they kept 2 undrafted guys like on their actual active roster.
Did they? Who were they?
I don't remember.
You remember?
I don't remember. One guy was from the Arena League, and he played for like a few years, and they gave him some money. Like, yeah. So bad picking the team. I picked the team that ended up. Well, when I went there, they had Cromartie and Revis. They traded Revis, and then they drafted D. Miller, number 9 overall. Like, God damn.
Stupid. Who was it? Joe McKnight that hurt his knee or something.
So R.I.P. Joe McKnight. Joe McKnight.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I can't say anything bad about Joe McKnight.
It was a few guys though that got Eric Crocker cut. So going into this game, and Joe McKnight had a concussion. Chris Ivory had a high ankle sprain, and Brian Winters had an ankle injury. And they were like, "All right, well, we can't put these guys on IR, so we have to create a roster spot to be able to bring some guys in to be able to play in those spots. Where do we have depth at? Oh, cornerback. Who can we cut? Oh, we can let go Eric Crocker."
Yeah.
Like, God damn.
Who's that new guy wearing an ugly number 41 over there? Let's get rid of him.
Right.
That's messed up. All right. Croc, this one from Ben. He says, who's the hell's playing nickel?
Eric Crocker's playing nickel. Nah.
Maybe they could still bring K1 back. He hasn't signed anywhere yet.
They can bring back K1 eventually, and we'll see what they do. But again, we've talked about a little bit of what they could possibly do. When you got Ward, you got you got Jimmy Ward too. I mean, he could play in the nickel if need be. But you got Ward, Charvarius Ward. You got Emmanuel Mosley. Once it's nickel time, you can put Mosley inside and play Ambry Thomas outside. Or you see what strides Diamador Lenore takes if he is indeed going to be playing some nickel, and how does he look there? So you do have some options there if you don't want to just go all out to, and have to go pay for like someone that's a full-time nickel. I like a guy, though, bringing a guy like Steven Nelson, vet minimum. He can play outside, inside, gives you some added depth at the position as well.
I think the plan is Demo. I think Diamador Lenore is going to battle it out, and if he's good enough, he'll be the nickel. And if it's not quite working out with him, he's just going to be a depth guy, and then they'll use Emmanuel Mosley in the slot when they go nickel on defense and bring in Ambry Thomas. But they still need some depth if they're going to do that, because then you get pretty slim out there on outside cornerback if you start having some injuries. I thought it was interesting. You talked a little bit to your co-host on Locked On NFL Draft, Croc, Ryan Tracy, about, and he hosts Locked On Chiefs, and you talked to him a little bit about Charvarius Ward, right? What did he say about Ward? What was his scouting report on Ward? How did he feel about the Niners taking him away for $13.5 million per year?
I sent you the video. Did you get the video?
Oh, you know what? I do have the video. Let's play what he said. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. All right, let's do that. Do you think, because when you watched him, you said he was good in press man, and that was sort of the thing with Ambry Thomas, right? Coming out of college, he was more press man guy and less off. Did the 49ers target them on purpose? Are they going to be throwing more press man at teams on the outside? Because why would you bring in guys that are better in press than off if you're going to play them in off?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're told. When I was with the Jets, you had an option on how you want to play things. So me, I want to play at the line of scrimmage. So I could play any coverage except for Sky from the line. And it looks like Josh Norman had that same type of freedom. Josh Norman played most of his snaps from the line, as opposed to Ambry Thomas and Emmanuel Mosley. They would play a little bit more off than Josh Norman. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe Emory didn't feel like he had that leeway to be able to do whatever he wanted and use whatever alignment that he wanted, and they wanted him to like play a certain way. But you know, I guess you never know. But I know when I was with the Jets, we cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could use any alignment that I want, and you can mix it up.
Let's bring it up on the screen here. Get a little insight to, they're not coming up. There we go. Here's Croc's DMs. Here's the look at the behind the scenes, by the way, of Croc. His facility he's building. I'm seeing the walls go up there, Crocker, dude. I'm excited for facility. I'm going to travel over to Arkansas just to work out there.
Oh, they're up right now. I think the only thing they have now is the backside.
All right, hold on a second. What just happened?
Brian,
All right, here we go. All right, that does not want to play for some reason. Let's try this one more time.
Yeah. Because a lot of 49er fans, you don't know what to.
Well, I can't get it to go to. I can't get it to go to full screen. Let me try this. Let me try a little something else here. See if I can go here. There we go. That is going to do it. That is going to do it. All right, this is Croc on. This didn't make the live. This is make the actual show, right? Locked on Defense.
No.
We just chatting with Ryan about the 49ers' newest cornerback, Charvarius Ward. And it's not going to play.
But anyways, I mean, I guess we can explain what he said.
All right. Actually, I think I could get the audio going, but it's not.
Okay, that's what I was going to do. I was going to get the audio. Here we go. I can get the audio, or you got it?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I'll get that audio going. It's a short clip, but it's nice to hear from someone who's watched a guy play for his entire pro career and how things went in his career and what the 49ers can expect to get out of a guy. And it's usually a bad sign when someone's like, "Oh, I'm glad he's gone." And that's not the vibe you get from Charvarius Ward from people who cover the Chiefs. Here we go.
Right. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Ward? Because a lot of 49er fans, you don't know what to kind of expect. I mean, I see what I see on film.
He made a lot of progression. I'm kind of pissed off at him because he priced himself out of Kansas City. He was slow to develop at first. He's got athleticism, but he is best when he's in man. Like if he's got a hand on a guy, he is in control of what he's doing. It's when he gets that separation, or if he has to play off from the start, that he gets a bit lost. He had LASIK this last offseason, and it literally changed how well he saw the ball in the air. He got his hand on more passes this year because of it. I know it sounds straightforward, but like he didn't get his head around before that. He didn't find it very well at all, and it all changed for him. He's got some upside still too.
Oh, a little upside too. And yeah, he's only 25, going to turn 26 this season. So he's a young guy. He's got all the athleticism in the world. The LASIK thing too is a great nugget that I did not know. And obviously it's a heck of a lot easier to catch the ball when you can see the ball. And I think that's a big thing. I know it's big in baseball for hitters. All great hitters have like crazy eyesight. Playing defense is the same way to try to track the ball in the air. Eyesight's a big part of catching football. So maybe there's more interceptions to come, more turnovers to come for Charvarius Ward as well.
That'd be good, right? And you talk about him last year. He had 2 interceptions. He also had a pick in the playoffs too. So we talk about maybe the lack of overall interceptions throughout his career. It's like, hold on, man, look at my playoff numbers as well. He had a pick in that playoff game against the Bengals. I believe he picked off Joe Burrow.
He's a big play guy. Big. I
think it was him.
Big
I always get him and Snead mixed up. Well,
Snead is the reason they can let go of Ward because Snead is very similar. They kind of got him late in the draft. He wasn't undrafted, but he's like a 4th round guy. Played a little safety. And
La Tech, right? Is that La Tech?
Louisiana Tech, and the dude could fly, had crazy workouts, and they put him at corner. man, it worked out really well. And that's why they could let someone like Charvarius Ward walk, because they got another guy on the other side playing just as well or even better in Snead. It's been pretty.
Snead is the one with the interception.
Yeah, it was
But
Snead.
they look, I mean, there's one that's 35 and another one's 38. So it was like
And
if
they're both
something
like 6
bad
feet
happened,
tall.
yeah, if something bad happened to me, it was the same guy. Like, oh, that's Ward. So he was getting dinged for stuff that wasn't even him.
Yeah, Jameis Winston had the LASIK surgery too, and we've only seen a couple of games of him since then with the Saints. I wonder how much that has actually changed for him. It started to look good. Jameis Winston, the early returns were okay last year while he was on the field for the Saints. The fact that the Saints didn't jump in and re-sign him makes me think they really don't like him all that much. I wonder if Jimmy would be an option, if they would prefer that. If they would prefer to trade his pick for Jimmy than just bring back Jameis Winston.
I'm looking at this. It's the NFL Rumors. NFL Rumors Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their quarterback carousel prediction.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson to the Falcons. Matt Ryan to the Browns. Baker Mayfield to the Colts. Jameis Winston back with the Saints. And Marcus Mariota to the Panthers. So nobody wants Jimmy Garoppolo in this prediction.
Jimmy, and that means the Seahawks roll with Drew Lock.
And the Seahawks roll with Drew Lock.
Well, at least if Jimmy doesn't get traded, you have that. Although,
can he be a backup? Can Jimmy be a backup on the 49ers? I don't think so.
No. Jimmy will start. If Jimmy's here, he's going to start.
Because there are some people that are like, why don't you just let them duke it out in camp? Let the best man win. And I'm like, I just don't think you could do that. He has too much of a stranglehold on the locker room. We talked about Adrian Colbert and those guys and how they felt about him. It's like the players love him. And he's like, even when you listen to them talk about him, it's like, dude, I'm watching him. Like, he's like, you watch the playoff games. Like, they didn't win because of Jimmy Garoppolo. But it's like, oh, he's a winner. Like, he win. And he's the type of guy you want to run through a wall for him. And his demeanor, and they love him. They love who Jimmy is. And I don't know how you going into that situation, even as Trey Lance, unless you just look like the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, it'd be really hard to be able to beat out just what Jimmy means to that locker room.
Yeah, that would be hard. It's a situation the 49ers just can't get themselves into at all. I love what Adrian Colbert said, though, and it's unanimous. Everybody that comes out of the building, coaches and front office people and players, they all love Jimmy Garoppolo, and there's something there. And it's not the same with Wentz. It's not the same with Baker Mayfield. That's why they might be looking to get different quarterbacks, talking about how they need an adult in the room at quarterback. I mean, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is. And we get to see the result of just Jimmy, and we see the post-snap stuff, but there's so much that happens between Tuesday and the first day of practice every week and the installs all the way up until he's at the line of scrimmage before the snap, everything he's doing, getting people in the right play. And you can't really quantify him making Adrian Colbert play better on defense, which is what Colbert is saying himself, right? You can't quantify that in watching Jimmy Garoppolo's throws by themselves. There's something else there. And like you look at QB wins, and I hate the QB wins as a stat, but there's definitely something else going on there with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a reason why he's won so much more than the other quarterbacks that are plugged in, but he's only had to be better than some bad quarterbacks with the 49ers too. So it's hard to know exactly where he is, but I loved the quote from Adrian Colbert, Croc, and maybe we should end on this. Adrian Colbert said, before Jimmy Garoppolo showed up, the 49ers were Kool-Aid without the sugar. I thought that was awesome. You know, they're just red water. And Jimmy Garoppolo shows up, and then now it's Kool-Aid. He added the sugar to it, right? And that's important. And a team like the Colts, when you hear them after they trade away Carson Wentz, what they're looking for in a quarterback, they explained to Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't hear him say, we need a quarterback that throws less interceptions. We need a quarterback with a strong arm. We need a quarterback that can make these throws around the field. They're talking about all the other stuff. They talked about all intangibles, what he brings in leadership, you know, inside the locker room, all of those things, right? And that's a team talking about what they want in a quarterback. Same with the Browns. The Mort report talking about how the Browns want an adult in the room at quarterback when they're talking about why they would move away from Baker Mayfield. So these teams aren't talking about, oh man, we need a guy with the best arm. We need a guy that can throw off platform. We need a guy that can make these crazy, ridiculous throws. we need a guy that throws less interceptions. They're like, no, we need a guy we can trust Tuesday through Saturday as much as a guy that's making crazy throws on Sunday. So there's a lot, and it's really hard to quantify with Jimmy Garoppolo. And when you hear people like Adrian Colbert and players who have played with them, like 100%, it's unanimous. They all say the same thing about Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's just really hard to quantify it. I know. And you just have to almost trust. It's like, this guy will help you win more because he brings, some kind of gritty leaderiness to your team. And it's kind of a hard sell for someone who's not been in the locker room with him.
Well, you better bring a punt unit that'll block a punt and return it for a touchdown in the playoffs.
Maybe some weather along with it.
Hey, and I know we're about to get out of here, but just thinking about like Green Bay playing in that cold weather, 49ers on the road, and looking at Jimmy Garoppolo in that game, and looking at Colin Kaepernick on the road in Green Bay, 0-degree weather with no sleeves on, and what he looked like in that game, it's like Jimmy's not sniffing that. Like what it took to win, like Jimmy's not sniffing that. So that's my thing. It's like, it was like when you're talking about what, like, okay, winning and all that stuff. And it's like, I get it, but like, man, you need so much to go right in those tight moments when you have Jimmy. Like, and a lot of times it's not him. Like when Kaepernick did, like it was Cap. Like it was him throwing the ball around, throwing touchdowns, running in. Okay, you know what, team, don't worry about it. Put the team on my back, running down the sideline, getting field goal range. Like it was Cap.
I will say this, Croc. I brought up Julio Jones earlier in the chat, and I'm very surprised to see that the chat is more excited about Ray-Ray McCloud than they would be about bringing in Julio Jones. It's unanimous. The polls are closed, and Arvin, just like everybody else in the chat, is excited about Ray-Ray McCloud, a true return man coming to the 49ers. And judging by what the Niners are paying him, it's looking like they believe he's a legit dude, and he's going to at least be a return man and see what they give him on offense.
Yeah.
All right. I know
they do like him. Yeah.
I know we haven't looked at enough Ray-Ray McCloud film yet. We haven't looked at enough Hassan Ridgeway film yet, but we're going to have to do that because we've got to give our official scouting reports on these guys. That stuff's going to come up next week. If Jimmy Garoppolo is traded. Oh, wait, hold on. This is somebody who listens to the podcast. That's why I want to bring this up. Where are we at here? Oh, no. Where did it go? Oh, yeah, here you go. Nick says, Peacock, remind Croc how good of a closer Jimmy Garoppolo is. Where did it go? All right. Things aren't wanting to show up on the screen for me today.
It's up there.
What about Croc, best closer in the game? You wouldn't want any other quarterback when the game's on the line in the fourth quarter other than Jimmy Garoppolo, right?
Hey, I talked about that block punt and some of the things it took for the 49ers to be in position to do that. But, you had to make 2 throws against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers missed a wide open guy, threw it deep, forcing in double coverage. Jimmy Garoppolo, hey, man, I don't care if Debo's 5 yards away. I made the right decision, made the right throw, same with his little throw to George Kittle. So it's just what it takes to just get to that position. Like just what it takes for like be in that position in a 10-10 game. Like you need everything from everybody. And then it's like, all right, Jimmy, do your little thing that you do.
All right. I'm with Vic here. He says, need a beer. I'm done with Jimmy. I just cracked open one. My weekend begins just about now. Shout out to Cellar Maker, their hazy West Coast IPA I'm going to get into right now. And cheers to everybody out there. Thanks for joining us on this live edition of Locked On 49ers. We will come back if something big happens this weekend. Croc, you're free enough to where we can come and do a quick live show if Jimmy Garoppolo does get traded, if there's any big news with the San Francisco 49ers?
I'm taking all my equipment with me to California. So
I love it. Oh, yeah, coming back to Cali. It's getting warm over here in California. We're getting a little fake early summer, I think, coming in the next week or so. All right, good stuff. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Croc and I back Monday, a little Sunday night action probably for you on YouTube right here. Locked On 49ers. Happy St. Patty's Day.